bike head units are getting super expensive. It is actually ridiculous. The new Wahoo Ace, $599 US. The Garmin 1050 Solar, $699. Prices are insane. Even lesser known brands like the Hammerhead Karoo 3 will still set you back like $400. Compare these things to a similarly priced Android phone and it's ridiculous. The smartphone will have 10 times the processing power, a much better screen, much better battery, much better camera for the same price. So when I see the likes of Magene offering things like the C606 for just $159 US, they get my attention. Now, Magene aren't paying me to make this video. They did give me their head units for free, but they're also giving me these 3 head units to give away to 3 of you. So I'll let you know in the comments down below how you can get your hands on one of these. But yeah, we're gonna give away one of these before Christmas, so check it down below. Okay, so just so you know where I'm coming from, at this point I've probably used about 24 headsets in my life. This is my daily driver, the Garmin Edge 1040. And so right off the bat, I'll say that this is a decent head unit. Now, it is not a replacement for my 1040. There are a few reasons for that. One of them being that I am locked into the Garmin ecosystem, right? So I've got the Garmin watch, I've got the Garmin GPS, and I like everything to be in the same app. So when you have Magene who don't make a watch, then you can't change. And so this is something we see the likes of Apple doing, making an ecosystem, kind of locking you in, and then you're forced to use their more expensive products. Now, the second reason why this will not be replacing my Garmin is just because of some of the small things. Like there's a few UI things that I don't really like, or some minor things like you can't directly download routes from Strava. You have to download them to your phone and then push them to this. Whereas with the Garmin, I make a route on Strava, it appears on this automatically. So there are some small things that makes these a difference, but this is a $500 head unit and this is $160. So yeah. I also want to preface this by saying, while I think this is the best head unit on the market right now, I still think, quite frankly, it's shit. It's way overpriced, it's super buggy, the maps are laggy, like even the screen brightness, like not even as bright as the Magene, and these are both set to full brightness. Like there's a list of things I can go on about with this. So even though I think this is the best, I think GPS, bike computers in general are a rip-off, and yeah, not very good. This one, my 1040, I've had it for like a year or whatever, and the map is super laggy. Like when you're going down in descent and you take a hairpin corner, it takes like 4 seconds for the map to rotate. Tiles of the map randomly disappear for like 10 seconds and then come back sometimes. Sometimes it just disconnects from all my sensors and I have to literally turn the thing off and on for it to reconnect. So Garmin is by no means perfect. And I'm not just slagging into Garmin either. Like I used to be a hardcore Wahoo user. I used the Element Bolt for years, love that. But if you look at the recent launch of the Wahoo Ace, like GP Llama and DC Raymer both slated that because it's just a half-baked product. So even the big brands aren't doing a very good job, so I like these small brands coming along and giving them some pressure. But why am I saying all this? Well, I think because it's important to get your expectations in check, right? Even these $600, $700 head units from brands that have been doing this for like 10, 20 years can't get it right. So expecting a Chinese brand that's been doing this for a few years for $160 to suddenly do everything perfectly, it's not gonna happen yet. So you've gotta get your expectations in check. I also think in this regard, like lots of YouTubers aren't helping. I think Magene sent these out to lots of the smaller YouTubers out there, and like they'll all say it's the best thing ever, it's a Garmin Killer, it's a Wahoo Killer. I think because they're smaller YouTubers and it's the first time someone sent them something or something, they feel pressure to say nice things. And I think that's not very good just because it puts people's expectations like on the slant, yeah? This is a good head unit, but it's not the best head unit in the world ever. So just important to get your expectations in check. So what do I know about this head unit? Why am I qualified to tell you if this head unit is good or bad? Well, back in the day, Magene's like pre-launch video for this head unit was actually shot by us here at Panda Podium. So we got 2 of these before it was even released or announced everywhere. So I've had my hands on this for a long time. Second of all, I took one to the UK to test the UK maps. So this is a Chinese version with the Chinese maps. I also have overseas versions with the overseas maps, and I wanted to test the overseas maps. So when I went to the UK back in August, I took this, but I actually forgot to take my 1040. So I ended up using this for all of my rides while I was in the UK. So I got about a month and a few hundred kilometers of experience riding with this thing. So that's where I'm coming from. So features wise, let's quickly run through some of the features. So first of all, we've got a huge 2.8-inch colorful touchscreen. It's very bright, like I just showed you, it's even brighter than my 1040 screen. And this isn't the solar screen, this is the brighter standard 1040 screen. And the Garmin is even brighter still. The glass does seem to be super reflective, like at some angles, you know, the sun is just hitting you in the eyes. And yeah, that does seem to be a bit of a problem. A bit more glossy maybe than the Garmin, but yeah, 99% of the time it's colorful, it's beautiful, all that stuff. We've got over 100 data fields on here to choose from, so all your regular stuff, you know, heart rate, power, the time of day, 3-second power, normalized power. You know, there's 100 fields, and you can put them on up to like 10 pages, I think, in 10 different places. So lots of customization you can do. You can also have little colorful graphs for your speed and stuff. Me personally, I like to just look at the numbers, but if you do like to have pretty graphs, it can do all that stuff as well. So we also have navigation on here. Now it is like turn-by-turn navigation, but it does rely on your phone. So basically on your phone, you open the app and you either choose a destination and it will make a route and then push it to your device, or you can use your phone to download a GPX from Strava and then import the GPX into the app, and then the app pushes it to the device. Then once it's on the device, it will give you the turn-by-turn directions. You know, it will say in 20 kilometers, turn left, go right, all this stuff. But there's no navigation happening on the device itself. So you can't choose a destination on the device. And if you do go off the navigated route, it won't navigate you back. It will just draw a straight line to get you back on the route, but it won't like reroute you down different roads and stuff. So yeah, we've got turn-by-turn navigation, but it relies on the phone app quite a bit. It also sometimes seems to be a little bit buggy. There's a few times where there's just a kink in the road and it will say turn left, and it's not actually a turn, it's just a kink. And there was one other time where, you know, it said go straight for 24 kilometers, but it was very obvious there was a 90-degree left turn in just like 800 meters or whatever. So yeah, 90% of the time it's fine, but every so often it does trip you up and you have to keep your eye on it a bit. But yeah.
They've done studies, you know, 60% of the time it works every time.
Battery life. Now, when I originally got the unit, the battery life didn't seem that good, but there's been a few firmware updates since then, and it seems to be a lot better now. The official claim stats, I think, are like 17 to 28 hours, depending on your screen brightness, depending on what's connected to it, depending on which satellite's using, all that stuff. I'd say for me, I keep it on like medium-low brightness, which is more than enough because it's a very bright screen. And I get around 20 hours out of it, I'd say, which is enough for most rides. But even if it does run out of juice, USB-C charging, super fast. USB-C is everywhere now, so yeah, super convenient. Speaking of the firmware updates, there has been a few, like I've said, and there's going to be more. In the next few months, there's an update coming for this, which will add like a Climb Pro feature. So on the Garmin's, you have the Climb Pro where, you know, it shows you the climbs coming up, and when you're on the climb, it shows you the gradient and all that stuff and how long is left of the climb. The same thing will be coming to this in a firmware update, which should be coming in January or February, I think. So that should be really cool. Now, obviously, because Magene also make a whole bunch of other products, they make smart trainers, they make radars, they make lights, all this stuff. So this head unit will play nice with all of those. Not only their own, but also other brands, because obviously most things these days are all ANT+. So, you know, you can use this to control your trainer, all that stuff. You can do a ride outside on the head unit and then later connect it to your smart trainer and say, recreate that ride. And basically you can re-ride that route that you just did outside inside. So cool if you're training for a loop or something and it's bad weather outside. So that's pretty cool. One other thing I'm looking forward to on this is that when Magene's group set comes out, that's also going to be able to play with this. So the Magene group set has lots of extra buttons on the shifters, and you can connect those to do things with this. Because in the app for this, they have something they call the Smart Assistant, I think is what they call it. And basically, you can set all sorts of parameters to make things happen, and they can be triggered by button presses or other things. Like you can do anything you want, like useless stuff. You can set it so like when your heart rate goes above 160 beats per minute, like turn my headlight on. Like you never want to do that, but it's cool that you can just literally set all of these ifs and buts and stuff and make it do cool stuff. So what's my conclusion? Is this better than a Garmin? I guess this size, the best comparison is the Garmin 840. The 840 is $460 US. This is $160 US. Is this better than the Garmin? No, I don't think it is better than the Garmin. Is it better than the Garmin for the price? Well, that's going to depend on you, what features are important to you, and how important is money to you. If money is no object, get the Garmin. If, like most of us, money is an object, then maybe consider this. Now, everyone's going to give things a different score depending on different features, because features that are important to me might not be important to you and all that stuff. But if I was to give things a score, my 1040, which I've already said I think is the best out there, I'd only give this an 8 out of 10, because I think head units could be a lot better. So even disregarding price, I'd say this is 8 out of 10. This guy, I'm going to go for like 6.5, 7 out of 10. So close to this guy, but definitely not as good. But then when you consider the price, I paid $500 for an 8 out of 10. It definitely leaves a sting in the mouth. Whereas if you get something like this and it's a 6.5, 7 out of 10, but you only paid $160 for it, it's easier to sleep at night. Anyway, what do you guys think? Are these an affordable alternative to the big guys, or are you also locked into the Garmin ecosystem? For me, I think I'm still locked into the Garmin ecosystem, but I hope these things do get more attention and more people buying them, because then the big brands will wake up and start seeing the competition, give the big brands some pressure to either make a better product or lower the prices. So I'm all down for supporting competition, and especially guys like this, the Magene, which is super affordable and good stuff too. Like I said at the intro, we are going to give away these 3 head units. These were supplied to us for the giveaway from Magene, so thanks to Magene. Details of how to enter will be in the description or in a pinned comment down below. So yeah, any questions about the head unit, let me know down below. I know this wasn't a very deep walkthrough, because you can just go on the website and read the features on there. But if you do have any questions that I didn't answer, let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you next time. China Cycling out.